Today we're going to paint a painting, and I have the inspiration on my phone. And it's a picture my sister sent to me that is in Denver. Now we're not going to do this exact picture. I have some ideas in my mind. The skylight, you can see that, is going to be how I'm going to try to do the sky. And we're also going to try to do a Denver skyline, so that might be fun. I've never done anything like this, so let's go through the objects we're going to need today. So here I have all of my brushes. I have a painting knife that I might use, a fan brush, a 2-inch brush. I have a few 2-inch brushes and 1-inch. And I have these oil brushes that I will also possibly use, as well as an array of different brushes in this cup. I also have this to get some of the oil paints out of the brushes, some paint thinner, a rag, my palette, my paints, and the linseed oil. I also have my canvas on an easel, which I have taped onto the table so that it doesn't move around when I do stuff. And so I think that is everything that you'll need. Oh, maybe some paper towels as well. So let's get oil. Make sure our brush is dry. And just dip just the tiniest amount, barely the end of the brushes, and stretch that across the entire canvas till it is completely coated. You don't want to put too much of this on there. A little bit can stretch a long way. Now, an easy way for me to tell if I've gotten the whole canvas, because you don't want to miss a little bit, is to just take your flashlight on your phone and just look over and make sure you get a nice, clean reflection back at you. And as I can see, there's some spots down here that doesn't have as much oil on it. And you can just drag that oil from other spots on the canvas till it is completely covered everywhere. Now the brush I'm using is just a 2-inch brush. I bought it actually at a hardware store in the painting section. It's not my favorite brush to use, but it is good to get lots of big area covered. Alright, I think my entire canvas is covered in the linseed oil, which is very good. So you can turn that light off now. Go over it one more time, just to be sure. Okay. Close your linseed oil, but keep it close, you might need it for later. So first things first, we're going to start with the sky, which I showed you. I have a picture of that sky that I would like to do. So let's take some blue. First, you want to get all this linseed oil off of that brush. So we'll take a little paper towel and dip it just a bit into your oil paint thinner. And just rub it off, and then you want to make sure you dry it. Because if you use your brush, but it has some oil paint thinner in it, you'll get these nice little dots all over your canvas that will just show the white back canvas. So that's not good. And you don't want to do that. So you want to make sure your brush is completely dry before you start to use it again. And this brush is the hardest brush to get dry, so sometimes I just don't even use it after the first layer. Okay, so I have some different colors here. I'm just gonna take some sky blue, which I got at Hobby Lobby. It's just their original, their market, their Master's Touch is what it's called, their brand. Also take some lemon yellow and maybe just the tiniest bit of brilliant red. And these smaller tubes, they are from Michaels and they're Artist Loft. That's just their brand. Some painters would recommend getting higher quality, but I am a college student and it's hard for me to buy lots of expensive colors. So here you'll see, I'll just grab some blue and you'll want to really get that in the brushes there, like I'm doing. Then we'll just go, starting in the top corner, back and forth, little crisscrosses. And if you need more, just load your brush up. Really, this is your painting. And if you have a different technique, you don't have to use the techniques I'm using. That is just fine. I'm going to wipe my brush off just a little bit with that same paint thinner that I put on this. Don't have to wash it off completely. Still want some blue to blend. I'm just going to take a little bit of the yellow, just pull it out and bring it down here. Just with a tad bit of red, mix that around in there. I'm going to get a nice sunset tone, like we saw in that picture from earlier. I'm going to start this down here, just back and forth. Maybe get some titanium white. This is the first time I've done any sort of oil painting video. I know I'm not a master with oil paint. I've only started several months ago painting with oil paints, and lots of times I follow videos or do something within my comfort zone. And this is probably a little bit above my comfort zone. So just bear with me if it's not the best video, I might not even show it. As you can see here, it looks a little bit green. I don't want it to look green there. So I'll try to figure something away. Maybe I'll just put clouds there. Now, at the end of this video, I'll clean my brushes really well with the paint thinner. But for now, I'm not going to dip them in the paint thinner because then it makes it really hard for me to use these brushes over again in this video. Alright, now let's do some clouds. I'm going to try to cover up this blue area we have right here that I don't love, or the green area right there. And in this photo there are quite a bit of clouds that might make it easier for me to cover those up. So for the clouds, I'm going to take a little bit more titanium white. I'm going to take my fan brush of these clouds in the first place. They look like, a little bit darker on the darker side. So you still want them to be white, but just a little darker in some areas. And for that, I might just add a little bit of blue. Just the tiniest bit of blue. Not too much because we don't want to start this process over again. Okay, now since we've filled our brush really good with lots of paint, we want to look at these clouds, and we don't have to make it exactly the same as it is in this picture, but we'll want to use just the tip of the brush and just do little circles. Look at that, that looks great. So now you'll see that there's some white, there's some blue from the top, the painting that gets on your brush because this is the wet and wet technique. So for that, you'll just want to flip the brush over, and you can use the other side for your next cloud. And then if it gets too full, you just add more paint onto your brush. And you want to pick your brush up. Just do little circles, little circles. Every painting you do, good or bad, it will help you learn to be a better artist. Every painting. Clouds, I'm going to take a little bit more titanium white. I'm going to take my fan brush, and I'm going to grab just the tiniest bit of this bright red. That's too much even. Just that tiniest bit in this entire, and just do some details on the top of these clouds. Just add some pink here and there. And that will give it a little bit of effect. Even on the bottom of some of them. Because the sun is coming through on these clouds. The sun's going to hit it and make it look real nice. Alright, so now I'm going to clean my fan brush. So that looks like a good amount of clouds to me. And then maybe I'll do one more. one nice little cloud down here. Add some pink up here. There we go. I think that looks really nice. Okay, now I'm gonna take my nice thick 2-inch brush. So now we're just gonna tap the bottom of our clouds. Just flatten them out. Make them look a little flat on the bottom. Just very gently. And then, after that, we're gonna fluff the clouds a little bit. So just in a round shape, go like this, barely touching, barely touching. I think that looks fairly nice. I'm just going to wipe this brush off, not use any of the paint thinner. And so in this picture we see that the sun is coming through the clouds. Now, I've never done anything like that, so let's see what we can do. I'm going to take a smaller brush, so just a small brush, number 5. And I'm going to take just some white, just plain white. I'm going to add some details into here, just to make it look a little brighter, like the sun is coming right through here. Maybe even add just the tiniest bit of linseed oil. What that does is it thins your paint. This thinner paint will stick to a thicker paint, and it's hard to stick a thicker paint onto a thinner paint. So we're just thinning the paint out just a little bit, and it comes on there fairly nicely. Add some highlights to the other clouds where the sun's touching, just so that you can have the little slightest hint that the sun is coming through the clouds there. Now I'm going to add some sun rays. As you can see, they're coming through the clouds right there pretty nicely. So let's just add just a tiny bit of white paint with this same brush, and just do a line, just a straight line. Just some straight lines coming up from there. We don't want any of that blue paint coming on. Let's redo this. Some straight lines. I don't love the way that looks, but let's see when we blend a little bit. So take that same 2-inch brush and just